This is the 1992 Chevy Chyenne dash light LED conversion. This should be the same for the 1988 through 98. I want to say 88 through 94, 93 is when they had the dash that looked like this. On the newer version, there's actually this front bezel here just pulls right off instead of screws on. But this is the 1992. This will work for the Silverado, the Chyenne, and the GMC. So you want to start with the NorthCoastT T20. You got 4 of them. One here, one here, one here, and one in this corner here. You take those out, and then we'll go from there. I'll get you before and after shots of the lights. Now make sure when you order the bulbs that they come with these separate bulb holders. You will need those for GM because the other bulbs, the original bulbs, are soldered in those holders, which like that. They actually have these metal clips and they're soldered in there. So you want to make sure the ones you order comes with the replacement holders, and then you just place your bulbs in them like that. This is the before, and we'll also put up an after. We're going to switch those out. You're going to need, once you get the 4 screws out of the corners, you'll just have to pull back on the bezel towards you, and it'll just pull right back. It helps out if you put it in low. Pull the bezel out, you could just set it off to the side. You don't even have to disconnect anything. And then you'll have to remove one. There's another one kind of hidden. Up inside there is 2. And another one hidden on this side. 3. You see it back in there. And then the 4th one is right there at the bottom. Those are 9/32 head. You just pull those 4 out around the cluster. Out the 2 9/32 bolts next to the vent, just to give you some more room to wiggle the cluster out. Pull my whole gauge cluster out completely because the Prindle, the park reverse neutral wire, is still attached. So I just rotated it sideways and you can gain access to the back. Now for illumination, it's going to be these big ones here. The smaller ones are your individual bulbs for, you know, seatbelt, check engine, and all that. So there are 4, 5, 2 on this side and 3 on the other side. Just go ahead and turn them counterclockwise, and they just pull right out. And then once you put your LED bulb in the new holder, you can put it in and turn it clockwise. Before you put your bezels back on and your heater vent back in, you want to push your cluster back into place, and then you want to test it to make sure they're all lighting up. The LEDs, sometimes you have to rotate them 180 degrees to get them to actually come back on. So let's test it. That is much brighter and clearer than the original. Looks very good. And actually all mine are lighting up. But you would notice at this point, if you had any dark spots in there, I think when I first put it in, this Prindle light here was not illuminating. But you'll be able to tell because there's only 5 bulbs in there. This whole area was dark, so I just rotated the bulb 180 degrees, put it back in. But you can see that it is much brighter than the original bulbs. And the original ones just get covered with dust and dirt, and I think one of mine were blown out. So now it's all nice and clear. Go ahead and bolt everything back in. You got your 4 bolts that hold the cluster in, 2 on each side, and then you got your 2 bolts that hold your vent in, 1 on the top, 1 on the side, and then the 4 Torx that hold the whole bezel in. So you can go ahead and do that. Your gauge cluster just pushes back into that center plug, and it kind of situates itself once you get it in the plug, so you know it's centered. And then what you want to do on these screws, a lot of people strip these. They're just going into plastic. So what you want to do is give it a couple rotations counterclockwise, and you'll feel it kind of set itself. The threads will set into the plastic, and then go ahead and rotate it clockwise to tighten it. If you just kind of ram them in there and just start tightening them, what you end up doing is over time they will strip, or you could strip it the first time. But the proper way to install a screw into plastic, a metal screw into plastic, is counterclockwise till you feel the threads set. It'll make like a little click. You'll feel it kind of set it down into the threads, and then clockwise to tighten it. Thank you for checking out my video, and I hope you found it helpful. Hope you have a great day.